Hello there, good morning. You're welcome to Newsroom on GHOne Television. I am Serwaa Amihere. Let's begin with our top stories. And coming up in the next hour, fate of injunction application against transmission of the anti-gay bill from Parliament to the presidency hangs in the balance as Supreme Court defers its decision until substantive case is heard. Also coming up, students of Atebubu College of Education confirmed dead over poorer security on campus amid strike by CTAG. Also coming up, will a 2024 presidential debate suffice? Well, we'll bring you a special report on the most anticipated grand face-off of presidential candidates. And later in business, minority slams government over recent increases in fuel prices, urging Dr. Bawumia to address challenges instead of calling for debate with Mahama. We have details of these and many more coming up shortly. To stay. To Newsroom on GHOne Television, I am Serwaa Amihere. The Supreme Court has deferred its decision on the injunction application filed by two applicants, broadcast journalist Richard Delaskai and researcher Dr. Amanda Odoi, seeking to stop Parliament from transmitting the anti-LGBTQ+ bill to the President for its assent. The panel of 5, presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Saki-Tokunu on July 3, 2024, heard arguments from all parties before fixing today for the panel's decision. The rulings of the panel, which also consisted of Justice Mariam Owusu, Justice Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, Justice Ernest Gewu, and Justice Yauda Kwansari, will be separate of each application. Let's cross over to the court where our legal affairs correspondent Mutala Inusa joins us with more. Mutala, thank you very much for joining us. I see where you are. Can you break it down for us? What does this mean? Because a lot of people were expecting a ruling or a decision today. What happened today?
Well, Serwaa, like you rightly indicated, the whole country was waiting with bated breath to hear from the Supreme Court, to hear what the Supreme Court will be saying in relation to those two separate applications filed by one Dr. Amanda Odoi, a researcher with the University of Cape Coast, and then, of course, Richard Delaskai, a broadcast journalist. As indicated, 17th of July was the day that the Apex Court panel of 5, presided over by the Chief Justice, indicated that they were delivering their ruling, and rightly so. Today, when the case was called, the 5-member panel chaired by the Chief Justice, in fact, did rule on those two applications. But what is the effect or the outcome of the ruling? One, what the Apex Court is saying is that they have looked at the application file, they have looked at whether or not the nature of the substantive matter in itself, and whether there's a merit, and the issues surrounding the way of the considered view that if you look at all these issues that has come out, the bill that was passed by Parliament, the way it is hanging, and look at the argument raised in relation to the applicant seeking for interlocutory injunction, the court is of the considered view that deferring their ruling on the interlocutory injunction vis-a-vis holding on until the substantive matter is dealt with will be the best approach, and that will bring much clarity and understanding to the subject matter before the court. So the Apex Court clearly indicated that yes, they are not able to give a ruling today. They are deferring their ruling to the time that the substantive matter in relation to the Dr. Amanda Odoi's case is heard. The parties, some of them have filed some processes and all that. Some are yet to file their statement of the case, and some are yet to respond to some supplementary affidavit or statement of case that have been filed. And so the Supreme Court panel held that this particular ruling or this particular case, it is unable to deliver a ruling today. It is deferring their decision to a later date, and what later date we do not know. What the Chief Justice specifically mentioned, that the matter has been adjourned sine die, meaning it is indefinitely adjourned. No timelines have been put to it. And of course, in relation to the Richard Sky case, similarly to what has happened earlier, the court made reference or copious references to what happened in Dr. Amanda Odoi's case to say that the Supreme Court is yet again deferring their decision on the interlocutory application filed by Richard Sky. So in effect, what the Supreme Court is saying is that they don't have any real ruling for the two applicants in relation to the interlocutory injunction. What the court intends to do is to wait for the parties to come to court, make their argument in relation to the substantive matter before the court. When that is done, the court will now take the interlocutory injunction and the substantive matter and come out with a determination. So that is the outcome of what has happened today. The Supreme Court did not rule. They have rather reserved or deferred their rulings on two interlocutory injunctions until such time that the case, the substantive matter, is heard and completed, and they were about to take a decision on that. But of course, one of the parties, in fact, the Richard Sky one, lawyer for Richard Sky, Pakwesi Abedu, has been speaking with me, and he said that, look, whoever acted otherwise to what decision or whatever the Supreme Court has done will probably be committing what they call the contempt of court, because once the interlocutory injunction is pending, Parliament cannot do otherwise. Let's listen to Pakwesi Abedu, counsel for Richard Sky.
Do anything to prejudice the outcome of the application. So we say that invariably, indirectly, it is still restraining any party from doing anything contrary to the demands of the application.
I mean, for clarity, as far as you are concerned, you do not expect Parliament to transmit a bill?
No, they can't do it insofar as this matter is pending. Otherwise, it will amount to contempt of court. To the best of our understanding of the law. When the court speaks about an early trial, in effect, what it means is that it will speed up the process towards the determination of the matter, so that this whole issue of injunction before final determination will no longer take a stage.
With a legal vacation inside, how soon do you expect this thing to happen? If you're having in mind that the court is asking you to file your own process and cooperating.
As an officer of the court, I'm not in the least in the position to dictate the timetable of the court. But the farthest I can say is that pleadings have not closed in the matter. As you might have rightly heard from the Attorney General, they are yet to file their response. And I believe counsel for the first defendant is also yet to file. So until those processes are filed, nobody can tell when we will be giving date for our.
So that is a lawyer for the plaintiff, Richard Sky. Clearly, he has his point to say. But of course, the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, he specifically did not oppose to this particular application. What he said was that the Supreme Court should look at whether there are issues of law that should be answered. Let's listen to the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, his reaction after the court decision.
I think that's the main issue. I mean, the point is that the country ought to know that we're a country governed by a constitution. The constitution that prevails over everyone. We're all under the constitution and the laws of God. And therefore, the actions of every person must be determined within the premises of the law. Same as a person can even question my constitutional right to prosecute in this country. I've seen that many times. And citizens of the country even file applications, the Supreme Court questioning the Attorney General's power to enter and prosecute in a certain matter and that kind of thing, and it comes up for determination of the Supreme Court. It's the same way that a decision or an action taken by Parliament can be questioned by citizens of the country. And so, for me, the questions are raised during the hearing of the application for secretary injunction, where ones that for me have not been determined in this country, and today has not been determined. It's the very first time that a private member's bill or issues regarding private members' bill are coming up. for the television. The private members' bill are quite local. It occurred only in the time of the former parliament, the 7th parliament, headed by Speaker Musa Makwe. It was in his time. Of course, it was with my help as Deputy Attorney General that we all sat down, we had a roundtable conference, and then we sat down to craft ways of empowering Parliament to engender or produce its own bills. And it was in the time of the last Parliament headed by Mr. Okoye that the first Parliament members' bill was passed. And really was without controversy because it did not have any implications for the taxpayer. Now, there are not bills being sent through Parliament now on account of private members, which really have implications for the public purse. And I think for me, as the Attorney General of the Republic, it's a question of important consideration that the court ought to really consider. Because since 1957, as I indicated to the court, since 1957, every constitution the country has had, apart from the 1961, has had provisions on Article 108, which is akin to Article 108 in it. And there has not been any case at all filed questioning the circumstances, the ambit, or the extent to which a person can commence a bill which has implications for the taxpayer, but which do not go through the requirements.
So that is the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame. But what is clear now is that there's no decision. In fact, lawyer for Speaker Thaddeus Sorry, after the decision of the court to defer their decision until the completion of the substantive matter, indicated to the court that the parties or the cases ought to be consolidated, meaning that Dr. Amanda Odoi's case and Richard Sky's case should be put together because of the similarity that it has. But the court said it cannot do that on its own, but the parties can expedite action on this date. But as to when exactly this case will be called on, the Supreme Court said Senate die. With the legal vacation also reckoning, your guess is as good as mine. From the Supreme Court here in Accra, Mutala Inusa, GHOne.
Thank you very much, Mutala Inusa. That was a very beautiful report. Back here, the Auditor General's report for 2022 has uncovered that basic school pupils are being served unwholesome food through the Ghana School Feeding Program. A performance audit conducted by the Auditor General on the Ghana School Feeding Program management revealed that moldy corn dough was used in some schools visited by the audit team. The Ghana School Feeding Program, established in 2005 to enhance school enrollment at the basic level, was found lacking in maintaining food quality standards. The report also noted that dishes such as jollof rice were prepared without any protein, which violates the program's nutritional guidelines. Interviews with pupils and teachers during the audits reveals that their complaints about the substandard food were consistently ignored. But the School Feeding Caterers Association blames the situation on the limited availability of funds. Dorothy Ofori Sapon is secretary of the association. Let's listen to her.
Our problem is just one. The money involved is not good. Right now, nobody can even give his or her child 2 cedis to go and buy food. No. But the government is giving us 1 cedi, 20 pesos in addition with tax. And we are saying that they should just give us 2 cedis. They couldn't. Even 1 cedi, 50 pesos that they promised, they couldn't. And so what are they expecting from us? For the good food we cook, but it is just small. And I don't think it's enough for the children.
I mean, we're looking at the Auditor General's report, and it's indicating that in some other areas, of course, some of the areas that were cited were in the Western region. I know that you are in the Ashanti region, but it looks like this is a complaint that, comes from the length and breadth of the country, that the food that is cooked is unwholesome. It's not being said that it is small. For example, you're saying if you're cooking jollof, it's jollof just like that, no protein, which is contrary to the guidelines, and all of that. So is all of that down to the money that is given to you? That is just not enough for you to cook the food that you are supposed to cook well.
That one I will never agree, because we are all mothers and the children are our children. We cook very good food, just that you won't get it beautiful like the normal jollof. You see, and so if they are saying that, because whatever we use to cook is an ingredient that we also eat some. We use tomatoes, we use pepper, we use onions, we use fish. Just that they won't get chicken or meat or anything. But whatever we have to put inside to get the real food or the balanced diet, we do. And so they shouldn't say that we don't cook good food. We cook. Why we are lamenting that the government should sit up and give realistic money for the women to cook. Who will give it in 2 cities for a student to go and buy food? It can't be possible.
Well, let's cross over and hear what you have to say on social media. And my colleague Nanama Akwa is standing by. Nanama, what are they saying? They must be upset, right?
Well, Serwaa, the toss-up, is it inadequate funds or is it poor food? Let's hear what they had to say on their thoughts. Solomon says, as if this is the first time they realize it. We have Oba who says, we are the problem. Then we have Jade. After receiving triple of what they deserve just because they're party faithful, they'll suffer for being cruel to innocent students. Then we have here on X, David. He thinks it's both. Now we Kojo, it's less than 2 cedis per student or pupil there. Then Arthur says, when you pay them those evil amounts, what do you expect? We also have here Solomon. It lies in borrowing money to build cathedral and unnecessary spending, including embezzlement of state funds, yet claiming free education is successful while students are eating all sorts of garbage. Then our last comment that we have here, Kingsley. Inflation is around 22.8% in Ghana, which correlates with an increased cost of raw materials for food at 1 Ghana cedi and 60 pesos, which cannot suffice the cost of an egg. You cannot blame caterers for the poor meals prepared for the students. Well, that's what you had to tell us on social media. My name is Nanama Akwa. Serwaa, back over to you.
Thank you very much, Nanama, for bringing us those comments. It's insane what kind of food that one would expect children to be fed with 1 Ghana cedis, 20 pesos. Anyway, away from that, being born with a disability is a complex undertaking that requires the collective effort of society. While the challenges are great, the rewards are even greater. Disabilities represent enormous opportunities and potential that we all stand to gain from, which can only be realized by removing barriers and fundamentally changing the way that we perceive disabilities. In this feature, my colleague Rosemond Akwokwa-Adjei tells the story of Valerie, a 22-year-old determined to succeed despite her challenges with cerebral palsy.
Valerie, a 22-year-old final year psychology student at the University of Ghana, is a living example of how disability is not inability. Valerie's dream is to become a lawyer and a guidance and counseling specialist, especially for persons like her.
I am quite talkative. Ultimately, I wish to become a lawyer. But before that, I wish to do criminal psychology. I find it fascinating, and also I want to help people, so I want to also become a guidance counselor one day.
Her condition was discovered when she was in junior high school. Doctors at the time assured her parents that she was fine, but they later discovered significant delays in her development.
Almost 2 years, then she turned and she started doing some tests. So they told us that she walk. Because all the assessment, it was positive. Like she walked. So, but we were not patient. I wasn't patient. I should say, I wasn't patient because all her mates were walking and talking. It delayed.
For me, I closed my eyes because this is a miracle. Like she just got up and walked. A very intelligent girl she was. And she's still very intelligent. She will do most of her work by memory until JHS. Then we realized that she has to write BC. So we went to Ghana Education Service Assessment Center at Achimota. So she was assessed. It was there that the psychologists and the team of medical experts concluded that she had cerebral palsy. But hers is not severe, but it's mild. We got involved so much because we're not interested in the mechanical output from school. were interested in the mental development. So we're like, fine. So if that's the case, why do we have to worry our head and disturb her?
Her disability has created a feeling of being marginalized by her peers and society.
I'm free, I am fine, I am very confident. But with some other people, I feel a little bit like I have to hold back some things, and I shouldn't say certain things. I shouldn't really think around them, because sometimes what they say might not be really what they want to say, and those kind of things. So when I'm with some people, I don't really like to think too much, because it will just give you a headache.
Despite being disheartened, not growing as her peers, she remains inspired and motivated.
Sometimes the actions of some people, you don't know that it's very hurting. So sometimes I feel sad, sometimes too, it's just a part of a woman, hormones and stuff. So generally people trigger certain things unknowingly through them. I don't know if some of them know and they just pretend not to know, but unknowingly most of the time some people trigger certain things from me. So there's this thing I keep saying to myself, happy yourself, because no one can happy you, right? So after that motto, I would just get some drink, like cook some food, sit on the floor, eat, and enjoy myself with some good music, and dance around, sing around, so that at least the stress of other people wouldn't get to me like that.
Valerie dreams of having an NGO to inspire children who have cerebral palsy and their parents, as it is not an easy journey.
The Ability Community International is a vision I have to help ladies with cerebral palsy like myself. Some of them are worse than me. Most of them are worse than me. Mine is the best case scenario of cerebral palsy. And so I want to be able to help them. I also want to be able to help parents with cerebral palsy, or parents of children with cerebral palsy, because the trauma of having to have a child with cerebral palsy is real.
Her roommates and colleagues, who also face challenges, told GHOne News that they draw inspiration from Valerie. According to them, they admire her confidence, something they lack.
She loves, even though she is in that situation, she doesn't care about other people will say about her, because people talk about me, like bring me down. I feel myself to be non-part of those people. So since she is happy, why don't I also become like her?
An inclusion activist, Jennifer Mensah-Bonzi, is demanding that authorities create more accessible spaces to accommodate persons with physical challenges. The founder of Vigilo Mobility Foundation finds it unthinkable the inhumane treatment persons with disability are subjected to in Ghana's local airports. She's worried several persons with disability will continue to face exclusion in their social lives and economic pursuits if the narrative remains the same. The American-based Ghanaian activist spoke to GHOne News on her outreach in Kumasi.
Jennifer Mensah-Bonzi, a United States-based Ghanaian, goes across states, schools and religious gatherings, championing rights of persons with disability, promoting diversity and inclusion. At the age of 3, she was diagnosed with polio and referred to the Orthopedic Training Center in Nsawam to learn to walk with mobility aids. Unable to afford the aids, she recounts how her life hit the turning point when some advocates from the Netherlands and the United States of America came to her aid.
I
was diagnosed at the age of 3 with polio, and for many years I thought I could not do anything to contribute to society, but an advocate, not a Ghanaian, but 2, one from the Netherlands, one from Louisiana in America, were there for me.
On her return to Ghana, more than 2 decades after relocating to the state in 1996, she is baffled. The Ghanaian society and built environment remains largely unfriendly to persons like her.
We are lacking that here. I can't expect Ghana to rise from 1 to 100 because United States is a developed country, but we can start somewhere. At least the acceptance and acknowledgement, we can start there, and also knowing that when we are all inclusive, we all win.
Her foundation, Vigilo Mobility Foundation, has embarked on a 4-city tour, making stops at the Nsawam Orthopedic Training Center, Nima, Kumasi and Tamale. Apart from Ghana's disability-friendly roads, a harrowing experience that gets her disturbed is the domestic air travel, which has no provision for persons with disability, despite all the provisions in the Persons with Disability Act 715.
Come to domestic flights, there are no ramps. Every physically challenged, no matter how difficult your situation is, you have to hop on that flight by pulling yourself, going the extra mile at your own cost, because if you get hurt down there, nobody is going to pay that for you.
Members on her team who joined her to Ghana have had it tough processing the difficulties persons with disabilities face in Ghana.
It was a challenge to get on the roads, to get from one place to the next. It was bumpy, it was rough. We were all in the van, you know, like a roller. My son, when I sent the video home, he was like, "Are you on a roller coaster ride?" I said, "No, I'm just going to the grocery store." Accessibility, I mean, some spaces they do have ramps, but for the most part, no.
The airport is beautiful. The staff brought them through to baggage claim, but they left them there. They did not take them to the curbside, so they had to walk down a long ramp that had maybe like 3 walkways, and there was no seats outside of the airport. It broke my heart.
Through Vigilo, selected persons with physical disabilities will receive these mobility aids for free. Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Ghana Society for the Physically Disabled, Stephen Jan, is positive the donation will especially empower members of their fold who cannot afford these devices.
These items are very expensive in the market. With the elbow crutches, you get some at 280 cedis in the market. Yes. Even with the used one they bring is about 150 or 160. And so you find that many of them are even using very old ones, others are even broken. And so with this, it would help a lot.
Apart from the donation of items worth some $20,000 to the Orthopedic Training Center and the free distribution of the mobility aids, Jennifer Bonzi is also investing in a project to build an accessible resource center to educate and train persons with disability.
Viewers of GHOne television have contributed 51,000 Ghana cedis to help in the treatment of 2-year-old Adepa, whose life hangs in the balance by a heart condition. She needed $15,000 for the surgery at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, but has so far gathered just about 1/3 of the amount, hoping to get more funds for her surgery. Her heart condition, caused by a combination of 4 heart defects, leads to blood clot, heart failure, and even death. Thanks to your benevolence, Adepa will make a down payment and awaits a date to undergo the surgery to stay alive. My colleague Awusi Dede has the rest of the story.
This moment described one of the numerous episodes Adepa suffers on daily basis. But the benevolence of viewers of GHOne TV, after the story was shared, gives Adepa's mother hope that her daughter will live.
She's going to get the surgery done. She would get well soon after the surgery, and she will live her life to the fullest and hopefully achieve something better and become somebody prominent in the future.
She could not hide her excitement after a check for 51,020 cedis was given to her for adipose surgery.
Makes me feel very happy. At least this will go a long way to make some deposits, make some arrangements to get her surgery done.
The money will be deposited in the bank account of the cardiothoracic department of Kolebu Teaching Hospital as the family awaits for scheduled date for adipose surgery. The family is hopeful of receiving more funds to complement the amount needed for the surgery to take place.
Even though this is not like the entire sum that I need, because of her situation, like for instance, last week, for instance, we were on admission. She has sores all over her mouth. I don't know if it's related to her condition, but they said there was some infection or something. Apart from that, they don't even know why she's having all these sores in her mouth. We went to Tema General Hospital. We were on admission for a day or two, and then we were back at home. So petty illness here and there, running stomach, then she gets constipation, all those petty issues. Once she gets her heart corrected, a lot of these petty things will go away.
We are still hopeful of receiving more funds to help little Adipa survive. Remember, there is more blessing in giving. For GHOne News, Awisi Dede Jange.
Now, if you're touched by Little Adipa's story and you'd like to donate, please feel free to walk into the premises of GHOne Television. We are the Platinum Place at Kanda to make your donation. Remember, no amount is too little. Away from that, 36 more cases of dengue fever have been recorded in both eastern and central regions, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 47 as of Wednesday, July 17. The Ghana Health Service says no deaths have been recorded yet, with only one patient on admission. Now, this comes just a few days after the country confirmed its first outbreak, with 9 cases in the eastern region on Sunday, July 14. Here is a news desk report.
The Ghana Health Service sent an alert of the outbreak of dengue fever in the country on Sunday, July 14, after 9 cases were confirmed out of the over 30 suspected cases under investigation in the eastern region. However, on Monday, July 15, 2 more cases were confirmed, raising the number of confirmed cases to 11 out of 57 suspected cases. These cases as of Monday were in 5 districts in the eastern region, namely Brim North, Brim South, and Brim Central, Achiase and Achimansa, with 103 suspected cases. New Jabin is the latest district to record the disease, bringing the number of districts in the region to 6. The newest region to be infected with the dengue fever is the central region. More samples from suspected cases have been submitted to the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research for confirmation. These cases were detected in the communities by healthcare workers using an appropriate case definition. The public is reminded of the symptoms of dengue, which include sudden onset of high-grade fever, severe headache, mostly in the forehead, body aches, muscle, bone and joint pains, nausea and or vomiting and rash. The service is also urging the general public, especially those in the affected areas, to prevent themselves from mosquito bites.
Let's do some politics now, and it would interest you to know that not all battles are fought in the boxing ring, but some are fought behind the podium with words. Ghana, since the year 2000, has been keen on presidential debates. It is a means to send a message to electorates beyond the manifesto. However, after a long pause from the battle of words, calls are becoming rife for another debate. But the question is, will the strong opponents have a consensus to match each other? My colleague Eko Bwache reports.
Since being declared flag bearers of Ghana's biggest rival in political parties, John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have been taking swipes at each other.
When Vice President Bawumia was saying, our economic management team, we have Professor Jan Bafo, we have Alan Chiramate, we have Honorable Osafo Mafo, we have Ken Oforiata. What a solid team. What a solid team, Elia.
Muduka Munyi Fatias, Mubasi, say you badna. Bahakaba.
All this in a bid to sell themselves worthy to the voting public as the next president of Ghana.
I promise to lead the change, and I invite you to be part of the change.
But are Ghanaians liking what's on display? An unstructured discourse with no guide and clear direction and no means to keep proper scores. Let's go back in time, in the year 2000, where the Institute of Economic Affairs hosted all aspirants of the year's election. The well-attended debates debuted with all aspirants save the then Vice President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, who doubled as the flag bearer of the sitting party, the National Democratic Congress. Professor Mills went on to lose that election and the next, both to the New Patriotic Party's John Agyekum Kufuor. Despite winning the election in 2004, Kufuor had not partaken in the year's debate, throwing a jinx into the myth that could have blamed electoral losses on debate absenteeism. The 2008 presidential debate had no incumbent president on the bill. The aspirants got the opportunity to debate on a somewhat level ground, which preceded Professor Mills's win in that December's poll. The next debate by the Institute of Economic Affairs was held in 2012. With better structures in place, the debate was introduced to moderators who were tasked to ask questions and drive the direction of the event. Interestingly, the two moderators will go on into political careers. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, a celebrated academic, became the Minister for Education in the next government and subsequently the 2020 and 2024 running mate for the National Democratic Congress. The other moderator, Kojo Oponkroma, who was then a journalist, will go on to become Member of Parliament for Ofuase Ayorebi and Deputy Minister for Information, then Substantive Minister for Information, and subsequently Minister for Works and Housing. The debate saw then incumbent President John Dramani Mahama representing the National Democratic Congress, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Abu Sakara then representing the Convention's People's Party, and Dr. Hassan Ayariga then of the People's National Convention. It was thrilling to have a certain president join the aspirants for the debate. This worked against the perception that certain presidents use the debate as a conduit to win the elections and then decide not to engage in further debates.
But to look at the symptom rather than the cure, I think for a person who has such legal training, I think it's a bit misread. I can understand that if we are desperate to win political power, we take any instrument and we use it against our political opponents.
If you are committed to the fight of against corruption, you yourself, of course, must not be corrupt.
But we all are involved in maintaining peace and controlling crimes.
First of all, the issue of decentralization is important to decentralize even the corruption.
In the year 2016, the Institute of Economic Affairs held its town hall presidential debate, which only saw 3 presidential aspirants seated: Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum of the PPP, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, an independent candidate, and Dr. Edward Mahama of the PNC. John Mahama, who was incumbent president, and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the opposition MPP failed to show up.
So everybody needs to make a personal stand on corruption. It is no longer acceptable to stand somewhere and say, I'm not corrupt.
The results of that year's election led to Mahama losing to Akufo-Addo. Since then, the debates have been on hold. both the NPP and the NDC pointed fingers at each other for not wanting to debate. Now, interestingly, calls are loud from none other than the same man who directed GHOne Mahama to go debate the people.
He's running away from a debate. He doesn't want to debate because he knows I'll expose the emptiness of his policies.
This is statement the NDC flag bearer spokesperson Joyce Bawa Muktari deems as not a priority but should be targeted at Dr. Bawumia rather fixing the economy. Meanwhile, Deputy National Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress, Malik Basintale, says GHOne Mahama has been ready for this since 2020 and has been calling to no avail.
President Mahama called for a debate. His party, together with his boss, Akufo-Addo, they wrote a letter telling us they will not engage in a debate. You remember, Serwaa? We are fully ready for any debate.
Question is, will the strongest opponents bid to the call and give Ghana a showdown? This is Echo Watch's report for GH1 TV and Star FM.
That's my colleague Echo Wache with that report. Let's still stay on politics. Actually, no, let's do some business news now. Majority in Parliament has slammed government over recent increase in prices of petroleum products. Addressing the media, ranking member for the Committee on Energy, John Jinapo, blamed the development on government's inability to rein in the depreciation of the cedi. He's therefore calling on the Vice President to address the challenges of the economy instead of calling for a debate with the former President, John Dramani Mahama.
Clearly, the Bank of Ghana is losing it. While the Bank of Ghana is spending millions of cedis and dollars on the Gold for Oil program, the currency is not stabilizing. The cedi is depreciating, fuel prices are going up, cost of living is going up, and everybody is suffering. But worst of all, wages and salaries are stagnating. Wages and salaries are not going up. And so, hitherto, under President Mahama, whilst you could buy 2 bags of rice with your minimum wage, today you cannot even buy 1 bag of rice with your minimum wage. The managers of the economy have lost it. And I think that Dr. Bawumia, instead of calling for a debate, he should rather spend some time to concentrate on managing the economy. Because the cost of living is going through the roof. We cannot continue like that. And I think that Dr. Bawumia should stop the unnecessary call for a debate, do his work as the head of the economic management team, and ensure that we deal with the ever-rising cost of fuel. If it's just deregulation, then let the market forces determine its price. These are the people who promised us that the Gold for Oil program will stabilize the currency. These are the people who promised us that the Gold for Oil will reduce the price of fuel. Today, the currency is depreciating, fuel price is increasing. They told us that Kenoforeta was a problem, and that if Kenoforeta was removed, the problem will be solved. He is out, and since he left, fuel prices have even increased more. The currency is even depreciating more. And so clearly the problem is not Kenoforeta, but the managers of the economy with Dr. Bawumia as head. Thank you.
And that's it for business news. Other stories before we bring you sports news. Academic and administrative activities in the 46 colleges of education across the country for the past 5 weeks have come to a complete halt, leaving the future of the academic calendar uncertain. Members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana have accused the government of taking an entrenched position not to honor the arbitrary award by the NLC. Despite the release of some 199 million cedis to settle outstanding research and book allowance by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, the union says the government has failed to implement the arbitration award, which was given to the association on 22nd May 2023 by the National Labour Commission. Thomas Ampoma is the National Secretary for CTAG and joins me via Zoom. Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. What exactly is the state of your strike now?
This is the 5th week, and we've seen that the government has taken an entrenched position, and we are bent on not honoring the National Labour Commission's arbitral awards. The fact is that the arbitral awards was given on 2nd May 2023, and the effective date for implementation of that arbitral award is January 2023. It means that we are into 19 months for these awards to be implemented. And you recall that when we went on strike last year, the Labour Commission called all of us, gave second directive, and the directive was that we should call up our strike while government takes steps to implement the arbitral awards by the end of October 2023. The government never took any step to implement these arbitral awards. We wrote to the NLT informing them that the government has refused or has failed to implement the arbitral awards for the second time. So they should take the government to court. The Section 172 of the Labour Act. They never took any steps. They wrote to us that they have referred the matter to their legal team or their legal department to take action. That is in November 2023.
Well, but our checks reveal that a student at the Atebubu College of Education has allegedly died as a result of poor security on campus. President of the Teacher Trainees Association, Swale Razak, joins us for more. Razak, thank you very much for your time. What is the state? What's happening in the school now?
Yes, good afternoon to all your lovely viewers, and good afternoon to all teacher trainees across all the 46 public colleges of education. Yes, ever since the declaration of the strike action on the 14th of last month, teaching and learning in the various campuses in all the 46 colleges of education have actually come to a halt. Students are left to their own fate with no certain date or no certain date as to when the strike action is going to be called off, and it's really affecting all students across all the colleges. Can you confirm, I beg your pardon, about the death of the said students? Is it true? Yes, a student from the college, from Atebubu College of Education, is reportedly dead. Your sources would also have it. That was about 3 weeks ago, when the students had reported to campus and returned back to Techimai, and then mysteriously she was killed. We believe these acts, some of these acts, as a result of teaching and learning not going on in the campuses, because if teaching and learning was ongoing, these students wouldn't have abandoned campus in pursuit of whatever he was looking for in Techimai, and that resulted into death. So security-wise, even when you come to students who are still in the colleges of education, if they are sick, the sick bay or the health facilities in these colleges are not able to attend to these students, because some of these health facilities or sick bays are being supervised by the membership of CTAG. So equally, activities such as orientation in the colleges of education for level 300 students, for them to embark on their micro-teaching exercise, even course outlines have not been provided to all year groups for them to have their teaching and learning ongoing. So ever since the declaration, it has brought dire consequences.
We apologize for that, but you heard us speak with Razak. He's the president of the Teacher Trainee Association. Right, let's now bring you the latest in the world of sports.
Thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. My name is Monica Bukari. Let's begin with athletics, where President of Ghana Athletics, Bawa Fuseni, has indicated his outfit is not in the position to determine bonuses that should be paid athletes who will participate in the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Speaking on the game here on GHOne TV and Star FM, Bawa Fuseni emphasized it is the sole responsibility of the Ghana Olympic Committee and the Ministry for Youth and Sports to decide on the amount to be paid the athletes as bonuses and per diems.
I have not had any discussion either with the Ministry or with the GOC in terms of bonuses.
Okay.
And it is just outside my remit.
Okay. It's not within your power.
No, it's not within my power to determine bonuses for Olympic Games.
Okay.
It is solely the responsibility or the authority on the GOC recommending the figures and the amount to the ministry.
Okay.
And the ministry would then approve.
Okay.
And if athlete wins, the ministry that will pay.
Yeah.
So it is not within that level to determine the bonuses. Mm-hmm. So it is just outside our authority.
Sure. Okay.
They asked me about per diems. And what I told them was that the per diem issue, we discussed the per diem issues with the CDM.
Okay.
And he guaranteed
the mission or head of mission.
Head of mission of the Olympic Games.
Okay.
Chief mission. Then he promised that the ministry, they've already agreed on the per diem right from the pre-game campaign to the Olympic game itself. These are two different budgets.
Yeah.
The pre-game budget is different from the Olympic game budget. And he confirmed that they have already finished the per diem and everything allowances with the athlete officials right from the pre-games to the Olympic Games.
Yes. Athletics, Benjamin Willie Graham, the media attaché with the Team Ghana, has revealed the team is actively training in Strasbourg, France. The team departed Ghana on July 11 and have been training vigorously with 9 days left to the start of the Olympic Games, which is set to start on July 26.
No, I mean, it's been amazing. We meet up almost every day. Our doctors and physios are always working on the athletes. Anytime an athlete feels a little bit of a nudge somewhere, they are quick to call on the physios and they rush to their rooms and they get them done. They have their own timelines in terms of the training schedules, what has to be done, whether there's a gym work or it has to be on the field. These are all discussed in the morning breakfast, and then eventually we kickstart all the activities. So the athletes are in great shape. And if you come and see the jokes that they throw around each other, I'm particularly excited to see that they're not under any pressure at all. They're just relaxed and going through their normal workouts, and they're just looking for the big opportunity to meet their colleagues, the Games Village, and then they start their necessary work.
So with what you just said, having a good time with all of them being around, it has been a while Team Ghana come to those way ahead of a tournament or a competition. How are they feeling in camp? And that will be it from now, but do join us at 1 p.m. on the game here on GHOne TV and Star FM. My name is Monica Bukari, but do stay tuned. We have GHOne up next.
On GHOne, we ask, who controls the definition of art? Its unconventionality makes art hard to define. As if that's not enough, the use of unconventional materials to make art leaves patrons thrilled in appreciating the discipline. In the following report, Alhassan Naudu finds how an artist combines climate change with aesthetics by using discarded second-hand clothing in making art.
Art is an expression of ideas and feelings, or the application of human creative skills and imagination, typically in visual forms like paintings, sculptures, and even clothes. But it gets even more intriguing when things out of the ordinary are used in making them, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Emmanuel Agretieku is a self-taught Ghanaian abstract artist who makes valuable art pieces out of discarded second-hand clothing and textile waste. Tieku collects from spaces like Kantamanto Second-Hand Clothes Market and the Pong landfill site. His works upcycles fabric merged with acrylic and oil, weaving a narrative that challenges societal norms and embraces interdisciplinary exploration. Tieku's journey into art began during his civil engineering studies, where he explored the reuse of discarded fabric and textile waste, essentially reflecting themes of consumer culture and sustainability. He believes waste cycle does not end with disposal.
Working with unconventional materials, you're thinking about a society where everything is conventional, everything is structured, right? But unconventional materials come in the sense that you break convention, you break the status quo, you break what is already layered and structured in society, and present new dimensions to people, new ideas to people, what the possibilities are if we're thinking about our world in a different view. Then the conversation begins. From all these questions, you can now begin a holistic conversation about what exactly you want to say as an artist to your audience. They're going to have the COP29 conference very soon, and all they're talking about is battling climate change and the effects on the entire world, especially on Africans. But then you have Obroniwewu being shipped to Ghana. We receive about 15 million garments every week, and then overall we use people purchase about 30 to 40%. The remainder or the remaining is waste. Probably end up in landfills, on beaches, in gutters. As an artist, that presented both a challenge and a solution. There's a term called waste colonization, where advanced countries dominate less advanced countries through waste. The idea is that we don't have the structures in place to properly address or properly handle textile waste. I felt I could pick a material that is totally discarded and give it a new life. Instead of ending up on the landfill, it could end up in someone's home.
Let's now bring you international news. People who died in a luxury hotel suite in laced with cyanide, police have said. Police suspect that one of the dead was behind the poisoning and was driven by crushing debt. The 6 deceased were found dead by housekeepers at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in the Thai capital, Bangkok, late on Tuesday. Investigators believe they had been dead for 24 hours by then. 2 of the 6 had loaned tens of millions of Thai baht to another of the deceased for investment purposes, authorities said. 10 million baht is worth nearly $280,000. Confusion and mystery had earlier surrounded the discovery of the bodies, with local reports initially suggesting there had been a shooting. And that'll be it for the news. On behalf of the entire team led by Mrs. Alisini, thank you very much for your time. The news team will be back at 6:30 with News Tonight. I am Serwaa Amihere. Have a good afternoon.